Ooh. Still getting used to this. Good morning and welcome to day 3, week 9 of Urban Agoge. I'm trying to get this in frame. Okay. So that was a 1.22 mile run in 12 minutes, running 1 minute at relaxed pace and 1 minute hard, alternating until you've done 12 minutes. And that was on really rubbish ground. It was really rubbish ground. It's wet and muddy. So that says good things about my possibilities of getting a mile and a half in 14 minutes or less. I've got a late start on Sunday, so I might give myself a mini fitness sort of review as far as running goes. But that I get the feeling that that's like better than previous runs, so that I can feel improvement. I might have to revise my waking up time purely because if I have to work any later than 10 o'clock, which is happening more and more, I'm not getting home till midnight. Yeah, pretty much I'm not getting, you know, you need an hour or so to wind down. You can't walk in straight from the door and go to bed unless you're truly exhausted. So yeah, so I might move my wake up time, which isn't going to be the same as yours, to 8 o'clock. Like my early wake up, 8 o'clock out the door. You know, get up, make bed, drink water, out the door, and just do it like that. So yeah, the camera's drifting a bit, but that's because I'm making all these micro turns. It's trying to stay level. So that was good. So I revised my routine slightly, given that in all likelihood, you know, when I'm naturally waking up, it's about 8 a.m, you know, most mornings. So yeah, that's what I'm going to start setting my alarm to and seeing if I can get out the door sooner and just take the hit on the extra hour. I mean, because I don't work until the evening, I don't have to get out of the house till about 4 in the afternoon. So that still gives me 8 till 4. That's like an 8-hour day to get stuff done. So I can, you know, if you've got an 8-hour day where you're trying to achieve things, because luckily I'm going to work and doing something that doesn't require a lot of intelligence. Unfortunately, it requires some intelligence from the people I work with, and I won't go into that. So yeah, it's all good. I'm gonna have to stop for a minute. The downside to getting up later is that there's a lot more people walking about. And when I say a lot more people, I mean, you know, 2 or 3, so I have to stop recording from time to time. As I'm sure you don't need to see all the people. On the plus side, you can get an oxytocin hit from saying good morning to everybody. Oxytocin, the thing that rules the world. So yeah, so what I wanted to talk about this morning was the concept of prepping. You know, if you're doing this program along with me, and hopefully you are, but even if you're not, even if you're just thinking, you know what, this tubby guy managed to do it at 48, you know, then, you know, hopefully you're at least thinking about it, getting out for a walk, going for the odd run. I know some of the people that subscribe already do run. That's brilliant. That's, you know, being able to run with a bit of weight on your back. Ooh. Let's pull that round. The camera's slipped there. Oh, the gimbal's not behaving. Yeah. So that's a form of prepping. You know, being in good shape should be one of the things that you do, because it doesn't cost any money. I've made sure of that. Even if you're just you weren't going to do any weight training, you were just going to get out for a run and do some push-ups and sit-ups from time to time, and cut down on the rubbish that we're all eating. There was a moment last night where I haven't eaten any red meat in a while. You know, at least a couple of weeks. Apart from a few slices of bacon. And somebody was going to throw away a stack of hamburger, like basically burger patties that had been slightly overcooked and therefore deemed, you know, destroyable. And it bothered me. So there were 4 burger patties and I ate those. But that would be about like a week's worth of meat under rations. You know, it's not going to be a giant amount of meat. And yeah, I'm eating mostly fish at home. There is some bacon in the freezer in case I need to make something. I've got some corn in the freezer. So yeah, I mean, I guess I am going a little bit vegetarian, or, you know, easing off on the red meat. So I ate the slightly overcooked patties because that's, you know, that's me not having to have, you know, beef in the house. And they're pretty good quality burgers, has to be said. So yeah, but they were just going to go in the bin. It bothers me when things are just going to be thrown away into the bin. Now, there are a few sites on the internet where they sell, in inverted commas, soon to be expired or technically expired food. But a lot of this stuff doesn't really have an expiry date, like canned food, and, you know, some forms of pickling can preserve stuff for years and years and years, way beyond its sell-by date. So you can pick this stuff up like pretty cheap. And I just think, you know, the Jehovah's Witnesses have got it right, or is it the Mormons? I think it's both, where they say, you know, if the end times come, you're going to want like a shed load of, you know, food set by. And yeah, I think I agree with them on that anyway. So yeah, also, you know, look at your store cupboard. You know, a quick way of doing it is count the number of cans in your store cupboard, you know, and divide by 3 and then divide by 7, and that's how many weeks you've got. Now, I've always been into having at least a month of food on hand at any given time, primarily because I've been extremely skint in my life, and the last thing you want to worry about is whether you're going to get anything to eat. So certain things, you know, that you want to keep in stock, things that everybody can eat, like baked beans. You know, it'd be a good idea if you had the ability to make bread if you needed to. An excellent idea to be able to cook for at least a week. And I'm including things like, you know, make yourself a cup of coffee and stuff like that. So you probably need a couple of litres of methylated spirits. I mean, you can cook on wood. You know, you can certainly, but it may not be possible for you to gather that wood. So it's why I have a meth burning pop can stove, or several of them, and a wood, sort of like a wood gasifier stove or two, so that I can literally put food together. I mean, anybody that watches the Rangers channel, or anybody that's watched anything before like that, knows that that's the sort of stuff I do. And this fitness thing is the first time after about 15 years where I've really gone, you know what, being in better shape is a survival mechanism. Not getting diabetes is a survival mechanism, because basically If you've got diabetes, you've got type 2 diabetes and you can control it with diet, you need to do that right now. You need to be watching your diet like a hawk. You need to be eating better than anyone else. You need to be maintaining a very low blood sugar, as low a blood sugar as is healthy. As I'm telling you something, you know, if everything ever goes sideways, if you're on regular medication, you know, you cannot rely on your government providing you with that medication. You just can't. If you've got anything else that is moderated with pills, and you can somehow stockpile those pills, you know, you want at least 6 months of that medication. And you want to be understanding where it might be in a pharmacy, what section it's in, what other brand names of similar pills that can do the same job are. You know, I know if you've got like an ongoing condition that you're going to have for the rest of your life, you're pretty aware of what medication you're taking. You know, but maybe note down, you know, or find central pharmacy depots, you know, that are anywhere near you. They did some research recently. I mean, you know, they say medicines have an expiry date, and certain things that have to be kept cold or chilled, like insulin and stuff like that, yes, they have an expiry date. The efficacy drops like a rock if the temperature varies on insulin and it's not kept cool. But other things, you know, they don't lose their efficacy for years. You know, or if they do, all you need to do to counteract it is to sort of like look at the dose. So certain things like antibiotics, if you can get hold of them, dog antibiotics, you know, equestrian antibiotics, equestrian trauma powder for sterilization and stuff like that. That's all stuff that's worth getting hold of. Don't get fish antibiotics, but if you can get mammalian antibiotics, that's a whole lot better than not having them at all. That's what I mean about prepping. How big is your first aid kit? How much water do you have on hand that's bottled? Bottled water doesn't have a sell-by date. It probably does actually, but it doesn't have a use-by date if you keep it sealed and you keep it in a dark place and you don't allow bacteria to form. And I don't know, 6 bottles, 6 2-litre bottles, 12 litres. And it'll probably keep you going for for nearly a week. And that's £1, that's a couple of dollars. So, you know, before you do anything else on your prepping list, go and get, you know, $5 worth of water. Because right now it's cheap as dirt. Go and get $5 worth of salt, $10 worth of rice. You know, get some basics sorted out. So I'm gonna have to stop here. There we go. So yeah, where were we? Okay, yeah. So it's got to be worth. However skint you are, you know, find a thing that's a treat. You know, like 2 days a week, don't have a coffee out. You know, don't go out and have a cup of coffee. And take that $5, or that's $6, or you know, whatever it is, or even once a week. Because I guess a coffee is $5 in America. You know, for a fancy cafe type coffee, of the ubiquitous chain store type. So yeah, you know, what if you didn't do that? What if you just went, nah, I'm not going to do that today? And then one, you know, you sort of get to the end of the month, and if you manage to sort of like put some money in the jar, you know, $10 or $20 or 5 or 10 quid, just go and buy a bunch of really low cost stuff. I mean, oh, is that better? Yeah, there we go, inadvertent pan. So yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a pile of short clips for editing. It's a hassle, but you've got to respect people's privacy. So yeah, I reckon I can probably put a £5 a week into that until I've got about a month's worth of food. Because I think if stuff hasn't sorted itself out in a month, then you've got to be looking into, you know, long-term survival. So with that said, you know, it might be worthwhile having a rolling seed bank, and if you can get heirloom seeds, so much the better. But any seeds are better than no seeds. You know, if you can find something with a shelf life of 10 years and just shuck that away, that's all good. And I went through a stage of thinking that I was paranoid a little bit, and then you see all sorts of environments where governments have failed or things have gone sideways and nobody really wants to fix it. Ooh. But yeah, it's one of those things. You should be prepping. You should have the ability to bug out, even if it's just a minimum amount of kit. You should have, you know, maybe try and keep one spare roll of bin liners or trash bags, you know, so you've got a stack of them, because they're simply the most useful things in the universe, along with a couple of reels of duct tape, batteries for things that you want to power, you know, presuming there isn't an EMP, you know, a standard all band radio, which I know for a fact you can get for about 10 quid. You know, just have it sitting around, you know, because, you know, if anything does happen and you've got to look after yourself or some other people, or you've got to help out, you know, you're not going to regret spending that, you know, $50 on a bunch of useful stuff. And it's all stuff that, you know, candles, tea lights, matches, packs of lighters, you know, toothbrushes, toothpaste, painkillers, over-the-counter medicine, stuff like that. You know, women's sanitary products, you know, stuff that is really going to make a difference, you know, after a week of not having stuff available. And that kind of thing, you know, if you are a prepper and you've got, let's say 100 quid, $200, and you spread that, the investment over a year, so you're spending about $15 a month, which is nothing. It's, you know, it's 2 or 3 lattes. And you just quietly put that in to a big box. It means that if you've got enough food for a few months, and you've got the ability to grow food, you've got the ability to look after people, you've got sort of like a light amount of medical gear, bandages, gauze, antiseptic wipes, hand sanitizer, face masks if you have to give someone mouth to mouth, all that kind of stuff, bin liners, duct tape, all the things that are going to become precious beyond measure, nails, you know, screws, hand tools. You know, it's going to mean that if everything goes down, you don't have to necessarily go looting. You know, if you were to loot a huge amount of stuff, the chances are somebody's going to come and loot it back off you. If it's already in your house, you can hunker down and see what's happening. And you can stay informed if you've got a radio. So, you know, you have that advantage, you have that ability. Maybe even try building a crystal radio set. Maybe even have the parts and plans, I mean, for a radio transmitter, or have a radio transmitter, or a Morse transmitter, anything. You know, the amateur radio side of things, there isn't a sort of like a worldwide disaster thing where I don't think it would be handy to have an amateur radio system set up. Oh, it's really acting strange, this gimbal. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there because I've got a big hill to walk up and I don't want you to see me breathing hard. It really is like a 45-degree hill for about a quarter of a mile. So I'm going to leave it there, but yeah, give it some food for thought. You know, if you're doing this, then you're doing sort of, you know, biological prepping, and you're prepping, you know, your body for extra stress that it's not going through in normal modern day life. You know, have a look at, you know, all the other things that you could prep, even if it's just crappy stuff. You know, maybe you can find some cheap long. Oh, it's doing it again. Why are you doing this? I don't understand. You know, maybe you can find some long life batteries for cheap. Maybe you can, you know, just put some stuff aside that you think, oh, that'll be handy. You know, just go to a dollar store and get like a couple of cutlery sets, a pack of toothbrushes, a couple of tubes of toothpaste, some soap, you know, some water purification tablets maybe, or you know, just have a bottle of bleach. You know, you can put a couple of drops in a big multi-gallon bottle of water, and you can sterilize it from all the nasties. Won't get rid of the heavy metals. Think about water filtration. You know, think about how you're going to get stuff sorted out. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. And if you've got any ideas of things that I've left off the list, then yeah, do let me know. It's really hard. It's not playing this morning. It's probably the setting I've got it on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Do take care.